Hey guys, how are you? I'm here today with my beautiful friend Lexi Smith is in town, and we're gonna be talking about industry and her career and her life a little bit, and give you a little bit of insights and behind the scenes of Lexi's life. Hi, Lexi.
Hi.
So you go by Lexi Smith, right?
Yes, I
Tell
do.
tell our fans where they can find you, your Twitter, your Instagram.
So I just made a Twitter very recently, and I think I have like 10 followers,
What is
maybe
it?
12.
Is it at New England chick?
My Twitter is like Lexi. I think it's Lexi XXXO. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure.
And
But my Instagram. I'm new to Twitter, but my Instagram is New England _chick.
okay, and your OFs?
And my OF is XOXO Lexi. I use New England Chick on Instagram because that's the only social media that I've really been using for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally I dance in different places like Boston, Massachusetts, Providence, Rhode Island, Portsmouth, Maine. So all New England places. And depending on where I work, so I go by Lexi. Lexi's my porn name. Lexi's generally my name when I'm dancing, but occasionally I'll go to a club and they'll be like, "You can't be Lexi. You already have a Lexi." So I'm like, "Okay, I'll be whatever you want to call me, you know?" So New England Chick is easier because you can't mistype New England Chick. It's not like, some names you could mistype. So I'm like,
So you also dance?
I do, yes.
Besides creating content and shooting?
Yes.
That's cool. How long have you been dancing for?
I started right before COVID, and then obviously during COVID you couldn't really dance because you couldn't do anything really. So I started, I want to say 3-4 months before COVID, and then over COVID I couldn't dance. That's when I started doing OnlyFans, and then I started dancing again.
Gotcha. Yeah, during the COVID, I saw some of the strip club owners were getting pretty creative with the way to do it,
Yeah.
So they did have you ever seen drive-through strip bar?
Yes,
There was a drive-through and there was 2 girls on the stage.
Yes.
I was like, holy shit.
But that was West Coast. You guys are really cool here on the West Coast. On the East Coast, they're not as cool. On the East Coast, they're like, buy the bucks. They're like...
Right, we were talking yesterday about how the, different states have different rules about alcohol and full nudity in the bars. And
yes.
yeah, that's pretty kind of...
Yeah, yesterday, he was like, "Oh, so you dance and there's alcohol, so you can't get full nude." And I was telling him, actually, at the club in Massachusetts, you can get full nude with booze. It all depends on the state. I know New Hampshire's different, Florida's different.
Yeah, California, New York.
Every place is different, so it's a lot of places, they're uptight and they're based on their liquor license, they'll be like, "Oh, there's no nudity." But
yeah.
Depends where you are.
When I used to live in New York, my friend and I were talking about there should be some kind of quickie kind of thing, like a ATM machine, because they used to have an ATM machine in Bank of America where you can just go and get a cash drive through. I was like, somebody should do a strip bar that you can just go there like a peep show and you pay $20 and you get 2 minutes, you warm your eyes and get somewhere out.
If you guys haven't seen this, I'm gonna bring it up. Have you guys ever seen, I don't know the exact terminology for it, but in Czechoslovakia they have, I see this on porn websites, I don't know if this is true, but they have a sex museum, so to speak.
Oh yeah, I know, it's in Prague.
Where, that's real?
Yeah, I mean...
that is my fantasy. Where essentially you go in, you pay to get in.
Oh no.
And then there's all these girls. I'll show you.
It's a glory hole.
Glory hole.
Yeah.
But
it's not a museum.
No, they call it a Czechoslovakia museum.
There's a sex museum. No, but it's called Czech glory holes.
Czech.
Yeah, but it's all staged because I know the people that
You might know the people. They give you stage, but can I do it?
Yeah,
even if it's staged? Because I'm still turned on. Whether it's staged or not, I'm still turned on.
It's they do pretty good job with like Prague and in Czech Republic, like staging it like it's real, like a fake taxi, a fake hostel, and this is a part of the fake group.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. But there's a museum too with like old dildos,
so that's what it says.
Stuff,
Like if you Google it, it's like a Czech sex museum.
Okay, I see.
I'll show you after.
Yeah.
But then it's like...
Is that your fantasy? Like, like go to the
yes,
place where you can
you know why? You know why?
Pussies.
So, it's not dicks, it's all pussies. But what turns me on is it's like, there are these girls that are like in these little holes and they're like, here's my pussy.
Yep. No face.
And no face.
Yeah.
But if you look at them, like there'll be multiple guys fucking them.
Yep.
And what turns me on is the fact that they're just sitting there and they're like...
being used.
But wait, that sounds so bad. Sounds so bad. No, they're not being used. Stop. They're not being used. They're living their best life. They're not being used. So anyways, they're like laying there and they're like taking dick. Imagine, well, you're a guy. But like as a female, I imagine like taking dick and being like, let's say the dick feels really good. But the guy's like mediocre. Then you look at them. Obviously, you're gorgeous. You don't have this problem because you're a perfect human. But the men that aren't as perfect as Tommy Wood have the problem where they're like, I might have a great dick, but like I don't look that good.
Oh, I see.
So these girls in these museums, or that's what I look up on Pornhub. These girls are just like laying there and they're taking dick and they're enjoying the dick for what it is. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They're not like, they don't know if they look as good as you or if they look like freaking a trash can. They have no idea.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. I would prefer that. I'd rather get off pretending they look like you and like, so I don't know.
You're like that person, like, when the guys say, like, oh, when the girls looks bad, like, just put it back over her head.
Yes!
You're like the other way around. Like, if
I
the guys
agree.
look bad, put it back over
Yes, but I agree with both. Put a bag on everybody. Just put a bag on and fuck them anyway. Whether it's the girl or the guy. The girl can wear a bag. The guy can wear a bag. Everybody fucking have fun and just imagine
right on.
sound else.
I mean, so I guess I get into your, like, sexual fantasies or what kind of porn you watch. So, here we are. I mean, hey, everybody, this is the thing, right?
So
like,
that's the thing.
People watch porn sometimes and they don't necessarily want to do the sexual acts that they're watching, right?
I agree.
It's kind of like kink, fetish, shit,
100%. What I get off to in porn is not what I like do in real life.
Yeah.
So one of the things is 100% those Czech museums, which are clearly not museums. But guys, look it up. You're gonna watch it. You're gonna be like, she's correct. Those are hot. She's correct.
Yeah, it's been around for a second,
So hot. But another thing is I'll watch videos where the girl's laying down and she pretends she's like, oh, I want to get impregnated, and then it'll be like a girl laying down and there'll be a line of guys, so to speak.
Oh, okay.
And they'll be like...
It's just like the multiple dicks.
Is this weird? I've never had multiple dicks in my whole life.
Yeah, I guess that's
Since I was born, I've never done it. But, she'll be laying there, for instance, and she'll be like, yeah, fuck me. And he'll come in her, and then the next guy will come and be like, go to fuck her. And I'm just like... Yes. Mentally, I'm like, imagine, like...
Pretty sure it's called bukkake, babe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a term. It's like when the guy comes.
I know, but I'm not. I don't know the terminology.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've been watching porn for too long.
Instructor. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. There's a guys that have a hot wives and they organize parties like that for the girls. I actually had a friend of mine. He's like, yeah, man, we were at his mansion and he said it was 20 guys and he's like, I want you to all cream pie her. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna go first. And he go first, and he got off and go home. And he's like, I'm not gonna be the 20th one, you know what I mean? It's like, it's gonna be dripping, and I'm like, yeah, it's a lot of liquid shedding and stuff. You know?
It is.
It's funny, we could talk
I don't mean to be weird by it, but I feel like for me personally, watching those type of videos, it's like you look at the girl laying there, And then it's like the first guy comes in her and I'm already turned on. I'm like, oh, God, I came in her. That's so fucking hot. But then I see another guy go in to fuck her and I'm like playing with myself and I'm like, imagine you're lubed up by your pussy juice, but a guy came in you, so you're even more lubed up. You're like twice as lubed up. Now a guy wants to fuck you. I'm like, that's it. I'm done. Like, I feel like I would love the second guy, but the third guy, I'd be like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I already came 1,200 times.
Go
Go home.
Can you imagine 10 or 20? Yeah.
10 or 20.
Probably
No,
a
go
little
home.
boring, right? It's like too much of a good thing, a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you some questions that I wrote, you know. When and how did you get into the industry? We kind of talked about it with the start stripping, then you get started on OnlyFans, right?
Yep. So I started stripping right before COVID. I have 3 kids. It was more so for monetary purposes I started stripping. And then when COVID happened, I was like, oh, I went from like making this extra money to nothing. And then all the girls I worked with at the club were like, do OnlyFans. So I was like, okay. And at the time, stripping was so new to me. I started stripping a few months before COVID. I'd never stripped in my life. Never. Like the thought of making porn before COVID happened, I had friends at the club that made porn. When I say friends, I use that term loosely because I was very to myself. But I was like, you know, these girls I worked with made porn and I was so proud of them for doing it. But at the same time, I was like, I could never. And then COVID happened and it like switched everything up because maybe I could never do that. But we're now in a different type of world where no one can do anything. So like, if you can't do anything, do you want to like try it? And I was like, yeah, I'll try it.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people get into the OnlyFans game, like, you know, just when COVID started, you know. There's so many more creators right now, so many more people shooting it. So much less taboo, I think, you know, more people understand the mainstream what OnlyFans are. Even when my Uber driver, I talked to him, he's like, what do you do? I was like, you know OnlyFans? He's like, oh, I know OnlyFans. I'm like, okay, well, fuck, everybody knows it now. Okay, cool, man. What is the goal in, you know, like in the OF game or, you know, in sex work in general? Do you just trying to make a lot of money, like secure for family?
Yeah, so right here, right now, I'm a mom, I have kids, so I'm like trying to make the most money I can make, so to speak, to provide for my kids as a single mother.
That's like a realistic goal, you know?
Yeah, I have 3 kids, and I'll tell you what, they're expensive. I'm like, mom's gotta go to work.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my long-term goal, when I say long-term, it's really not, I hope it's not long-term. I'm in the process of starting my own lingerie line, which I already essentially started. I have the website, I have the designs, this and that. My biggest thing right now is that I want it to be made in America or even Canada or Brazil, just somewhere ethically
not like
reputable.
Right.
Where most lingerie is made in China. So I've worked with a few people. I worked with a few people in New York who made the lingerie that I designed, and it came out okay. But to me, it's like, okay is not sufficient because
so you need to improve it.
It needs to be improved. It needs to be better because anything made in America, I don't care if you're growing a sweet potato or designing a computer, no matter what you're doing, if it's made in America, it costs more money. So I'm like, I can't make lingerie that costs more money and it looks like it was made somewhere else. Like it needs to look.
No, it's good, you know, you're a quality control person. I like you, it's your brand, so it makes total sense. So, well, my next question was, what kind of porn do you watch? But we kind of like loosely touch on that, like bukkakis, cream pies, glory holes.
You know what turns me on? Okay, the thing with the glory holes that turns me on is it's like, as a woman looking at a glory hole, I'm like, the woman in the glory hole is just experiencing what she enjoys. Like the woman in the glory hole is just laying there getting fucked and she's enjoying it. And that's what turns me on, is not the glory hole itself, just the whole fact that she's laying there and like she is strictly enjoying. She's not looking at the man. She doesn't care if you're 89 or you're 22. She doesn't care. All she cares about is your dick feels good in her pussy. So it's like, that is
hopefully.
I know.
Hopefully.
Okay, but like if you're talking about it, of course your dick feels good in her pussy. But yeah, you're right. Like maybe hypothetically some people don't. But
I mean,
even if you're laying there and it's like, let's say it's not good, it's like mediocre, you're still like, I feel like as a woman, I could lay there and be like, oh, it might be mediocre, but like, you can get mental about it and be like, it feels good. And like,
yeah, I think women are more emotionally connected, you know, the guys are a little more like physically, you know?
Yes,
so
I actually...
the fantasy, you know, like makes sense, that turns you on, you know?
Yeah. I actually say this a lot to, so a lot of people will ask me about relationship advice, and I say this a lot to men and women alike that are married. I explain to them how men, and I don't want to sound like I'm generalizing, I know this isn't every man, but in general, men love sex, but they love the feeling of it, where women are more in tune to the emotional aspect. Like, women will be like, it feels good, but I also feel connected to you.
I see.
Men don't feel that way. So I try to explain that to people, where I'm like, I'm not saying go out and fuck a million people, but at the end of the day, you need to understand that when a man has sex, it's different from a woman having sex, and you have to kind of understand that. So obviously in the industry, you need to understand that. But outside of the industry, I've talked to people, like, including my sister. My sister actually told me one time, she was like, right before she got married, which she is married now, she got married in September, but like a month before, she was like, he asked me about a threesome, and she was like, I was so upset. I was like, what do you mean you want a threesome? I'm not good enough. And I said to her, I go, okay, so what is your view of a threesome? And she was like, that's us having sex with another person. And I was like, okay, so that's your view of a threesome, is you're having sex with another person. Now hear me out. What if his view is you and I are having sex and we're having fun, and like this other person is making us both feel good? And she was like, that's not what he said. And I'm like, he's a guy. Guys don't come out and like articulate themselves properly. So I go, maybe that's what he meant though. Maybe what he meant is like, babe, I love having sex with you. What about another person making us both feel good? So a week later, she calls me and she was like, we talked about it. We did it. And it was wonderful.
Oh, so she did like it?
She did like it.
Oh, okay.
At first, she assumed it was like her not being good enough. And I think, again, women view things differently than men.
Absolutely.
Women view it as, this is emotional, this means so much. Where men are like,
absolutely.
This is like sexual feelings, and like, I don't care at the end of the day.
Right.
So they did it, and it actually, my sister and her now husband enjoyed it, and it was great. However, before talking to me, she was so pissed, because she just viewed it differently. She viewed it the wrong way. She viewed it as, I'm not good enough. He wants someone else. Why am I not good enough? Blah, blah, blah. Where at the end of the day, he was just like, no, you're great. What if we have fun and spice it up?
I see.
You know?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of my friends that are in relationships or married, you know, like, they kind of tell me like, oh man, I wish I can go to swingers party or have a threesome with my wife and stuff. And I'm like, why did you tell them? And they're like, damn, bro, if I bring it up, like, she's gonna divorce me, or she's gonna have
She'll be
problem.
pissed.
But I'm like, but bro, don't you wanna have like a relationship with your wife or partner that you can actually be honest about what your desires and feelings? And isn't it, I'm not saying that you should twist someone's hand, but it's like if you're in a partnership, like, don't you want to make them feel good, you know? Like, because I'm not a jealous type at all. So if somebody would tell me, I just want to have sex with someone because they are hot, for the value of they are hot and it's fun, I could understand that. Right. I think most of the people go like, well, you know, like, isn't it fun with me? And it's like, well, you know, variety sometimes is, you know, especially for guys, it's kind of like, man, it's, you know, sometimes you like oranges, sometimes you like apples, and sometimes you like watermelon, you know what I mean?
Agree.
It's kind of like, I mean, but I just feel like, you know, I find it crazy that the guys, you know, my friends don't even bring it up, you know? Because they are afraid, you know? And I'm like, damn, but you should not be afraid, I think.
So that's something I learned working from the strip club, and I'm not saying you need to work at a strip club to learn this, but, as you know, I haven't been there super long, but working in the strip club, I met a few guys that were like, oh my gosh, they'd come into the strip club and immediately they'd be like, I'm buying everyone drinks, who's at the bar, I'm buying everyone shots, doing this, I'm doing that. And it's like, outside looking in, you're like, he is so desperate that he's buying everyone shots. He's ridiculous. But then I'd like talk to these guys, right? And like their cell phone, the background photo would be them and their wives. And like you talk to them and they're like, hey, so to be honest, I'm happily married. I love my wife. I like coming to the club so I can like have a sense of variety and have a sense of this isn't, you know, me being forced to do X, Y, Z. I can just hang out. And if I want to like touch your boobs, I'll touch your boobs. It's not like, oh my God, I have to do X, Y, Z to get you off because you're my wife.
Right.
I can like be more organic. And I never thought of it that way until running into a couple people. But I'll tell you this, like running into those few people was very eye-opening, and it was very like good to learn, because it's like when I tell you these men love their wives, I know a lot of people will be like, no, they don't because they're at a strip club. No, they genuinely do. Their background photo is them and their wives. You hear them talk about their wives. They're like, I love my wife. But there's like that physical, sexual aspect there. They're like
hormones. Balls.
They want to have fun, and it's like I believe there's a huge difference between having fun and investing in a relationship. For instance, I would rather the guy I'm dating fuck another girl than go to a bar, meet somebody, they have an emotional connection, and the next thing you know, he's thinking about her all the time, and like there's that emotional connection.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why strip clubs, you know, or like even escorting, you know, lives and works, and you know, it's like probably more and more.
It's
like,
better.
You know,
I think strip clubs and escorting is better
than cheating emotionally.
Than cheating, because
apps, hiding.
Let's say you go and hook up with an escort. Guess what? You found a hot girl. You fucked her. You got off. That's great. But if you didn't, let's say you go to a bar and you like click with a girl and you guys fuck and it's for free. Yeah. So and then let's say you guys develop emotions because you're like, oh, I had a lot of fun last night. Oh, I did too. Okay, next time I'll see you at the bar. And then it's like you don't see her for a couple of weeks, but then you see her and you're like, the next day you're like, I miss you. Yeah. I want to see you. You don't do that with us.
Yeah, right? So arguably strippers and escorts saving a lot of marriages. And
oh my God, we're over here saving relationships.
I know, I don't understand the hate, you know?
Strippers and escorts save marriages.
You're right,
okay?
You said
essentially we do. No, but we really do, Tom. I'm not just saying that. I genuinely believe it, because if you don't utilize those avenues, you're going to go to the bar. Else. You're going to go to the bar and you're going to be like, my wife hasn't fucked me in 52 days and like, I want to have sex. And then you meet this girl, you bring her home, you hook up with her, and then the next day you want to text her and you're like,
it just made me think, you know, I used to have a friend, she was a little older and she was with her husband for 25 years, and they got a good friends with their neighbors, and they, you know, the four of them were spending a lot of time together and being like friends, and all the time. All of a sudden, she started cheating with the neighbor behind her husband's back, you know. But I was just thinking to myself, well, it's because of the accessibility, right? Like she doesn't really
Yeah.
meet a lot of men outside, you know. She
Right.
knows the neighbor. All of a sudden, they start hooking up. Their marriage break down. They're going to divorce. All this crazy shit, right? It's kind of like she should just get a gigolo, or like or somebody to just get off, like some young stuff. But again, women are more emotional, so I feel like she felt connected to the neighbor mentally, and. Yeah, I mean, in many different ways, it would be better if you just get off physically and just come back. And I guess women are definitely thinking differently. Question number whatever. Do you
whatever.
do you like giving oral or receiving oral?
Oh my gosh, we talked about this. This is one of my most embarrassing things in my whole life.
It's not that embarrassing.
It's super embarrassing.
I mean,
because I love giving oral because there's like feeling a dick in my mouth genuinely turns me on. I'm like, my pussy gets wet feeling it in my mouth and being like, imagine it in my pussy. But I hate oral receiving. I love giving. I hate receiving. Only because it, like, for lack of better words, it tickles. And it's like, oh my gosh, I have to pretend I like this and it tickles. Like, so, like, whether it's my pussy, my ass, my nipples, like, you can touch all of them.
Hypersensitive.
Yeah. Like, touch my nipples, touch my pussy, touch my ass, but don't lick my nipples, pussy, or ass. Just don't lick them. Just touch them.
I see.
But I love giving.
That's awesome, I'm sure many men are okay with that.
No, actually, I love that you brought that up because the majority of men are pissed about it. Like, and that's why I'm so embarrassed about it. Like, but guys I've dated get mad. They're like, oh, I do it better. Wait to see how I do it, and they do it, and I'm like, they'll be eating me. I'm like,
yeah. But
they're like, stop and relax, and I'm like, I can't, it tickles. And they get mad, and they're like pissed. They're like, oh, well, you need to relax and you'll enjoy it. And I'm like, don't take it personally. It's not you. Right. It's me.
And you still suck dick, so you know what I mean?
Yeah, like let me suck your dick and just leave me alone.
It doesn't bother me.
Tom's so accommodating. He's like, you can suck my dick.
What is your body count? Like, how many people have you had sex with?
So this is a very interesting question because I 100%, 1,000,000% believe body count does not count. But I think mine is like, hold on.
Do you want a calculator?
No, I don't. I'm going to be genuinely honest and like anyone, like including OnlyFans. And so my body count since doing OnlyFans like exponentially increased. Obviously, I made work out of fucking.
Of course, yeah.
Which is fine. And I don't think body count defines a woman. I think no matter what, whether you fucked 1,000,000 guys or one guy, it really doesn't matter. But I genuinely have not fucked more than like literally no more than 15 guys, which is like pathetic. But the reasoning is, time out. I need to back this up. The reasoning is because I was with guys. So for instance, my ex-husband, I met him in high school. He was my high school sweetheart. We had kids together. We got married. We'd fuck multiple times a day. Like, so for 10 years of my sexual encounters, for 10 years, it was just him. Mm-hmm. It was like twice a day, him and I fucked. So that's a big reason behind it all.
Yeah, that's all good. 15.
But it's not like that.
Yeah.
Is that like, I don't want you to be like 15, she doesn't know how to fuck.
No, I mean.
No, it's just,
honestly,
I'm
right?
open to more.
That's good. I mean, I feel like people, in other words, think that you have 1,000 sex partners, but having 15 might be surprising for them. But yeah, if you're in a relationship for
like
a
you say
time,
15 and then people are like, you're not a good porn star. I'm sorry.
I somehow believe that's more than 15, but hey, let's keep it at 15. Right?
I'll show you all the videos.
So my next question was like, how many people you have sex with in one day, like the most, but it's probably only one, right?
So this is really funny that you specifically bring this up. Only because, obviously yesterday I fucked you, today I was gonna fuck you and somebody else. which they canceled. But anyways, Jessie, I was talking to her and I was like, yeah, so I was going to shoot with him and then him. And she's like, that's great. What about him? Like as a third person in one day. And I was like, I can't do that. And she was like, girl, this is what we do for OnlyFans. We make videos.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know that I can fuck 3 times in one day. And she was like, you can. I have faith in you. You can do it. And I was like, okay. So it's like, it sounds stupid, but it's new to me, that whole concept. I've never, up until like, actually I haven't fucked 2 people in one day. To this day, I have never fucked more than 1 person in a day ever.
It's gonna have...
But supposedly I might do that today.
Hey!
I don't know.
Adios.
I have plans to meet up with someone later, but I don't know.
I think that's a good way to close our little interview. So,
Yeah.
fingers crossed for you, Lexi. Thank you so much for hanging out, and you guys subscribe and definitely follow Lexi on her social media. I'm gonna tag her one more time. See you in the next one.